Hello everyone and welcome to another Premier League review show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm your host for this evening. Storm Dara wiped out the Merseyside derby as the game between Everton and Liverpool was postponed. There is yet to be confirmed with regards to the reschedule of that fixture, but the other 9 games still went ahead in the Premier League. Not weather related, but there was certainly a storm at Tottenham Stadium as Spurs dropped a lead to lose the game 4-3 against Chelsea. Man City dropped points at their bogey ground in Selhurst Park. Arsenal were unable to capitalise and close the gap at the top as they drew against Fulham. So a lot to discuss, and we'll start with the game of the week, and that was Tottenham versus Chelsea. What a crazy game this ended up being. Certainly not one for the faint-hearted. Spurs took the initial lead as Cucurella slips on the halfway line. Brennan Johnson nicks the ball and drives it on the right-hand side. He produces a low cross, and former Chelsea striker Dominic Solanke applies a sliding finish to give the home team the lead. Cucurella was at fault once again as he slips whilst on the ball. Porro gets the ball towards Kulusevski. He cuts inside and hits a low shot right in the bottom corner to make it 2-0. What a start for Spurs. And Cucurella runs over to the sidelines to change his boots. Probably should have wore studs in the first place. Chelsea respond as Jadon Sancho cuts in and hits a fantastic low shot into the corner, posting in to make it 2-1. Big talking point of the game was Caicedo's challenge on Sarr. I can't lie, that was definitely worthy of a red card as it was a dangerous challenge right on the player's shin. Then moments later, Kulusevski goes in with a smashing elbow that you probably see in the octagon more than a football pitch on the side of Lavia's head. And that could easily have been a red card as well, as that was also a dangerous play. In those kind of moments, the player on the receiving end could get a concussion from that sort of challenge. So luckily, Lavia was able to continue. But Tottenham conceded a penalty as Bissouma slides in with a very risky tackle on Caicedo. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get anything on the ball. Cole Palmer steps up and slots it calmly in the corner to equal the score. Chelsea then take the lead after Cole Palmer goes on an amazing run, hits a shot that deflects towards the edge of the box, and Enzo Fernandez drives it and hits a fantastic left-footed strike to give the Blues the lead. What a crazy turn of events. And I'm sure you saw it on your screens. Spurs fans were in disbelief at that stage. But it gets worse. Chelsea then make it 4-2 after Cole Palmer was fouled in the box by Sarr. But the finish in that penalty, cheeky one from Cole Palmer, who hits a Panenka to add more insult to injury. Spurs grabbed a third goal in the 96th minute as Heung-min Son taps it in from close range. But at that stage, it's too little too late. What a performance from Chelsea, who are showing a new level to their game right now. I mentioned that last week. I do believe Chelsea are title contenders and are probably playing some of the best football in the league right now. They're currently second in the league with 31 points, only 4 points away from league leaders Liverpool. Now, some fans have already turned on Ange Postecoglou and don't believe that he's the man to take the team forward. As let's be honest, he plays the game with one approach and very rarely changes tactics. And unfortunately, that's costing his team points as they're failing to manage games correctly. And at the same time dropping far too many points. They are currently 11th in the league, and I doubt Postecoglou's position is under fire, but you have to question his long-term future at the club. As if it gets any worse, they may want to change direction very quickly. But right now, they need to get some points on the board and try to deploy some different tactics or adapt to the opposition. Otherwise, it's going to be the same old story with Spurs, where they play good football but fail to climb up the table and challenge for major honours or cup competitions, as the fans are desperate to see some silverware at the club. Now, on to the next fixture. Fulham versus Arsenal. Despite Liverpool not playing this weekend, Arsenal failed to capitalise and close the gap at the top of the table as they dropped points and drew 1-1 against Fulham. And it was the home team who took the lead as Raul Jimenez is on the edge of the box, hits a low shot with real power and finds the bottom corner to make it 1-0. Arsenal applied plenty of pressure and got their reward in the end as Saliba scores a tap-in from a corner kick to make it 1-1. I should probably call or rename this team Arsenal City, as they're really paying homage to Stoke City with another set-piece goal. Arsenal produced some more chances, and yes, they did come from set pieces, but failed to grab the winner. So at this stage, Arsenal remain in third place, 6 points away from the leaders, but Liverpool still have a game in hand. Next fixture, Crystal Palace versus Man City. I told you guys in my prediction last week that City will drop points in this fixture, and I was proven correct. Selhurst Park is truly their bogey ground, and it continues to be as they drew 2-2. Palace opened the scoreline as Will Hughes finds Munoz in an advanced position, and he slots it in to make it 1-0. City then get the equaliser as Matheus Nunes produces an inch-perfect cross from the left-hand side, with Haaland leaping in the air and nodding it towards the corner to make it 1-1. But in the second half, Lacroix scores his first goal for Palace with a leaping header to give the Eagles the lead once again. But then moments later, City got their equaliser as Rico Lewis finds himself in the box and smashes a fantastic shot right in the top bins to make it 2-2. But unfortunately, his afternoon was cut short before the final whistle as he picks up a second yellow for his challenge on Chalobah. For me, it was definitely a late challenge on the Crystal Palace defender. So, according to the letter of the law, fortunately, it was the right decision and to give him a second yellow. But I'm not sure what Pep was banging on about in his post-match interview. This guy always seems to be playing the victim. Quite frankly, it's getting a bit boring now. But Man City remain in fourth place, 8 points away from Liverpool, who are at the top of the table. Next fixture, Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. Another defeat for Amorim as Manchester United lose 3-2 against Forest. It's their first win at Old Trafford in 30 years. So a long way to get that victory against the Red Devils. Milankovic opens the scoreline for Forest with a bullet header from a corner kick. Højlund gets the equaliser for United with a close range finish to make it 1-1. But Bruno Fernandes gives the ball away and Forest hit the Red Devils with a counter-attack. Gibbs White is on the edge of the box, hits a long shot, not with a lot of power, but despite that, makes it 2-1. Onana with a poor attempt of a save. He should definitely have blocked the shot there. But that wasn't his only mishap. Forest make it 3-1 after Jota Silva, aka Portuguese Grealish, hits a fantastic cross from the right-hand side. He manages to find Chris Wood, who hits a looping header on target, somehow finds the back of the net. I'm not quite so sure what Onana was trying to do there. He was trying to blame his defenders for not making a clearance. For me, he's the gift that keeps on giving, especially for rival fans. Bruno Fernandes scores from the edge of the box to make it 3-2, but couldn't do anything else to find the equaliser. Overall, a fantastic win for Forest, who climb up to 5th in the league now. What a season that they're having. Next fixture, Aston Villa versus Southampton. Villa produced back-to-back wins after they defeat Southampton 1-0 at Villa Park. To be honest with you, I was expecting more goals in this game as Southampton have been woeful this season, conceding 31 goals already this season. But Villa got their winner in the first half after Duran nicks the ball off Howard Bellis. He drives with the ball towards goal and applies a nice curled finish to make it 1-0. Another 3 points on the board for Villa. They now move up to 6th in the league. Now, in other games, big scoreline here. Leicester produced a late comeback against Brighton at the King Power Stadium, and it's not the first time that we've done this so far this season. Tariq Lamptey opens the scoreline for Brighton with a spectacular left-footed strike. Brighton then increased their lead to 2-0. Great goal from Minte, twisting and turning two defenders before slotting it nicely into the corner. Jamie Vardy then makes it 2-1 with a close-range finish, and then Vardy becomes provider as he squares it to the Cordova-Reid, who scores a tap-in and helps rescue a point for the Foxes. Next fixture, Brentford versus Newcastle. Newcastle got simply destroyed by Brentford in this 4-2 result, and Bremer opens the score sheet with a fantastic left-foot strike right in the top bin. Isak then makes it 1-1 with a close-range header. Wissa gives Brentford the lead once again with a great finish right in the corner. Harvey Barnes then makes it 2-2 with a great finish inside the box. In the second half, Brentford certainly hit another gear. Collins makes it 3-2 with a left-foot finish. Not sure what he was doing up there, but he scored the goal in the end. And then Sade adds another goal to his tally and makes it 4-2 for his team with a nice thick finish. That goal is his fourth goal in 2 games after scoring a hat-trick last week. And after that result, Brentford have now moved up to 9th in the league, with Newcastle remaining in 12th position. Next fixture, Ipswich Town versus Bournemouth. 3 wins on the bounce as the Cherries produce another dramatic comeback to seal the win. Chaplin opens the scoreline for Ipswich with a neat left-footed finish. Bournemouth get the equaliser through Enes Unal's tap-in, and Otara scores the important winner in the 95th minute to get all 3 points. Bournemouth have now moved up to 8th place in the table. And the final fixture of match week 15 is between West Ham versus Wolves, which ended 2-1 earlier on today as part of the Monday night football. But firstly, our thoughts and prayers are with Mikel Antonio, who unfortunately was involved in a horrific car crash over the weekend. There are some whispers suggesting that he may be forced to retire, but at this stage, his health is the most important thing, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Now back to the game. West Ham were able to pull one out of the bag and possibly save Lopetegui from getting the sack. Souček opens the scoreline with a looping header. Then Doherty makes it 1-1 with a sliding finish. And then Jared Bowen grabs the match winner with a fantastic strike into the bottom corner. And after the goal, Bowen dedicates that moment for Mikel Antonio, which was a nice touch. So a win for Hammers, and they remain in 14th place in the league. And that is the end of our match week 15 review. Before we go towards the closing stages of the show, I'm going to announce the FPL Manager of the Week. And that goes to Chris Barnett, and his team is called Savannah Stories, and he managed to attain 78 points. So well done to Chris for a good points tally. I think a lot of managers got smaller scores due to the Liverpool game being postponed, and that in fact actually affected my performance. I only managed to attain 42 points, but I forgot to update my team by removing or substituting some of the Liverpool players, and I also had Mohamed Salah as my captain. So scoreboard error on my part, but we'll move on to the next week and make sure that we're more than prepared than other occasions. But what we'll do now is we will present the top 10 table and see if there's been any changes in the ranking. Here we go. So Let's make the screen bigger for you guys. In top place, Melissa remains in number 1 spot. She managed to get 51 points and her team is called the No One. So she is number 1. Tayo Aziz moves up to 2nd place. Chris Barnett, who's the FPL Manager of the Week, has moved up to 3rd. Ellie Clark has moved up to 4th. Vipin Mohan has dropped to 5th. Maya Tonneson remains in 6th place. Godwin drops to 7th. Handy Abda moves up to 8th position. Pasuran Mania has dropped to 9th, and Jordan Smith has moved up to 10th place. So that is the top 10. So be up to everyone for getting involved with the FPL. I know a lot of people probably forgot to update their teams like I did. So yeah, better luck next time. But before we close the show, what we can do is we can present the fixtures of Matchweek 16, and then I will give you my prediction of what the scorelines could be. So let's start with the first game, which is on Saturday, 14th of December, and that is Arsenal versus Everton. This is an interesting fixture because obviously with Everton and Liverpool not playing over the weekend, the players would have gone an extra few days of rest or maybe some more training sessions. Who knows in terms of what their regime is like, but that should play a slight advantage in this fixture. But I still think Arsenal will have too much for Everton. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Gunners. Liverpool versus Fulham. So obviously Fulham picked up a fantastic draw against Arsenal, and they are a difficult team to play. However, this is at Anfield, so I think a home advantage will play a part. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for the Reds. Newcastle versus Leicester. I feel like Leicester still have that new manager bounce with Ruud van Nistelrooy. They haven't lost yet. So I'm going to say it's going to be a surprise win for Leicester, and they will win 1-0 in that fixture. Wolves versus Ipswich Town. Two teams towards the bottom of the table, but I think Wolves will have too much quality in the end. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Wolves. Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa. This is actually a very good game. Both, I think this is 5th versus 6th in the league. I'm going to go for a draw. I think this will end with a 1-1 result. Brighton versus Palace. So this is a derby game, despite both teams not really being located near each other. But I guess a motorway does separate the two teams. Brighton have just lost recently, so would that have an impact in this game? I'm not too sure. I still think Brighton will have that. I think they'll have too much quality for Palace in the end. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Brighton. And look at this fixture that we see on Sunday. Manchester City versus Manchester United. Man City not having the best of times in recent weeks. They certainly had a November that they would probably want to erase from their memories. But same goes for United. They've not had the best of starts under their new regime under Amorim. So where does this game go? I think Man City will win. I don't see Manchester United challenging at all in this fixture. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Man City. And then you've got Chelsea versus Brentford. So you've got a West London derby, I guess. I'm going to go for Chelsea. And Chelsea are in good, rich vein of form, and I think they will continue to capitalize. I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for the Blues. Southampton versus Spurs. You can't predict these games just because of the nature of how Spurs play. On paper, you expect Spurs to win. Will they get the win? I think they'll just about nick it. I don't think it will be a convincing win. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Tottenham Hotspurs. And the final fixture, which is taking place next Monday, Bournemouth versus West Ham. I'm going for Bournemouth. And I know West Ham have notched up some decent results in the last few weeks, but Bournemouth have been fantastic at home, and they've made the Vitality Stadium into a bit of a fortress right now. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Cherries. So that is my prediction for Matchweek 16. Just going to go through some of the comments here. Football with Ends, he says, big up, bro. Have a great stream. Big up yourself, Ends. Thank you for your comment and thank you for your support. As always, appreciate your engagement there. And Daz says, big up, Ozzie. Who do you start tomorrow with Alisson Jota back? He said in his presser. So, Daz, I will literally be doing a match preview of Girona versus Liverpool in about 6 minutes. So make sure to tune in very, very shortly and we'll discuss this in more detail. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very, very shortly. Hopefully, next few minutes. Goodbye.